I know that grocery prices are crazy right now, and I'm not the only one working to feed my family on a strict budget. We're trying to feed a family of seven for $700 a month. Today, I'm going to show you a Great Depression dinner feast. I think you're going to love it, but we're going to talk about food prices and other things as well, and where my inspiration came from. Stick with me till the end. I think you're going to absolutely love this.
Hello, you guys. It's Crystal Lopez here from crystalandcup.com, and guess what I'm doing? It is 7:27 in the morning, and I have heard that H-E-B clearances their meats first thing in the morning. So either at night before they leave or very first thing in the morning. I've read a couple of times that it's first thing in the morning. So here's what happened. I spoke at our MOPS thing, our MOPS group last week, and talked about, all the ways to save and how I'm feeding my family of seven for $700 a month. And one of the moms, when she went home, she found an article on Reddit that said that H-E-B marks down their meat in the morning. Because I was telling them about the time that I got all the clearance meat at Walmart. And that's one of the benefits of actually going into the stores, finding these deals. So, then I started researching, and Reddit has people talk on Reddit. My goodness, I need to be on there more often, really doing market research over there. But anyway, they say that the morning time, and then I read one where one person used to work at H-E-B, and they said sometimes they do it at night, but most of the time it's in the morning. And so they open at 6. They've been open for an hour and 28 minutes. I really don't know what I'm going to find, but I am bringing in cash. All I have is two 20s, a 10, and some ones. Actually, I'm hoping that I can just find some meat for $20, like see what I can find for $20. And then I also need some half and half and some coffee creamer. So come in with me. Let's see what we can find.
All right, you guys, so inside H-E-B we go. If you are ever visiting Texas and you pass an H-E-B, I highly suggest that you go in and check it out, especially the H-E-B Plus stores. I took one of my teenagers with me. He is a bargain thrifty shopper, and he was like, ooh, this sounds fun. Let me go with you. So off we went, and we're making our way over to the meat section. So I will tell you, the sales were not as jaw-dropping as I thought they were going to be. It's 25% off. All right, that's some savings. It's not like astronomical. It's not as good as the savings that I got at Walmart, but it is some savings. And it was mostly beef that was on sale, because the beef, they sell fresh beef, and they cycle through it really quickly. So like your chicken and stuff that has a longer shelf life, it was not on sale. So here are some benefits to buying meat on sale and getting up early and going in. Number one, you're going to save money. Same quality meat that you were going to buy yesterday, but now today you can get it for 25% off. It's an opportunity to stock up on meats and freeze it. Put it in the freezer. If you're not going to use it today, throw it in the freezer so that you can use it later. Save your meat budget. Go in the morning, buy things for 25% off for the week, and put it in the freezer. You can try higher quality cuts of meat that you would not have tried otherwise. So a specific steak that you may not have tried otherwise. So look here, hamburger meat is definitely more expensive. It's one of the more expensive meats, but instead of paying $9, you can get the same thing for $6. So why not? And it's going to help reduce waste. There was lots of variety there. All the different cuts of beef you could see were on sale. So what do I have here? I'm going to take that roast that I bought for $10.60, and that one roast would typically not feed my whole family if I was making roast and potatoes, because there's 7 of us here, and it's going to cook down. But I'm going to show you what I'm going to do to it to turn it into a full dinner for us. So everything that you see here is what is needed to make a poor man's feast, a depression feast. Where did I get this idea? There is someone on YouTube. Her name is Miss Clara, Miss Clara's Kitchen. I believe the name of her channel is actually The Great Depression Cooking. Incredible, incredible woman. She has since passed. I believe she passed away about 10 years ago, but her YouTube channel is like 18, oops, I just hit my foot. Her YouTube channel is like 18 years old right now. So she was an early adapter. Her grandson did all the recording. Her grandson's probably my age, actually. He recorded her. They had an agreement. She agreed to let him record her making recipes. And what a gift, what a treasure. If you have any time and you want to find some recipes that are inexpensive to make, go and find her channel, Miss Clara. Oh, incredible. It makes me miss my grandma so much. I have watched every single one of her cooking videos, and I have probably made 5 to 7, maybe 8 of her recipes. Like, they're awesome. So this is one of her recipes that I'm making. And she says we would have a feast every now and then, like a nice big dinner. And that's when you would get meat. So, you know, they cooked with a lot of hot dogs and things like that, bologna. But on a night like this, they would get their meat and they would buy it very thinly shaved. So like for the whole family, it's like 1 pound of meat being spread out across a bunch of people. Paper thin slices. Well, they didn't have any meat already sliced that thin, but I thought, you know what? If I can get a roast for 25% off and slice it myself and cook it, we should be good, right? So that's what I did, because if I took this roast and just cooked it for my family in the crock pot with potatoes and carrots, it would potentially not be enough to feed my family if the meat was the main focus of the meal, right? But what you'll find is in these depression meals, the meat is very much just something on the side. It's something extra, right? All right, so we've got the lentils boiling in some water with salt and pepper. And then I've taken olive oil and a lemon, and I have squeezed the lemon. I really should have used my lemon squeezer thing that would have kept the seeds in, but whatever. They came out easily. We're just using salt, pepper, olive oil, and that lemon juice, which is exactly what Miss Clara did. And that's what we're going to marinate this in. I'm going to take this roast and I'm going to cut off this extra fat that's on here. That's optional. You don't have to do that if you don't want to. I did. And I cut off some of the extra little pieces that I just wanted to get off of there. And then you're going to cut this against the grain so that it's not tough. And when you're doing it with a knife, it can be hard to get it super thin. I got it as thin as I could, and some pieces were a little thicker than others. And you'll notice we're cutting it against the grain. That way it's not tough. That's how you prevent it from being tough. All right, and I'm just cutting off a little bit of extra fat or tendon or whatever that is. I don't even know. So we're cutting this up, and then we're going to marinate it briefly in that olive oil and lemon juice. We'll do each side, and then we're going to lightly fry them in the stove. I'm going to use my cast iron skillet. So really quickly, let's check on our lentils and see how they're coming along. We want to get them to a very tender point where they are almost done before we add the rice. If they're not there yet, we're going to add more water so that they can keep simmering, okay? Keep boiling. So we've got our cast iron skillet here. You don't have to use a cast iron, but that's what I really like. And I've got some olive oil down in the bottom of that. As you see, they cooked with olive oil a lot. And we're going to take our meat that has been drenched in both sides of that lemon, olive oil, pepper, salt mixture. And we're going to put them into the pan over a medium heat. We don't want to cook it too high, too fast, because that will toughen up our meat. So we're going to get the pan full, and then we will start marinating some more to get them ready for the pan as well. We're going to cook them on each side. You can put this down to a low medium. I've got it on about a medium. You cook it as slow as you want to. And I like to cook it until it's caramelized on each side. You go for the doneness level that you like, that you and your family like. All right, so we're doing both sides of that meat. Now we're going to check on those lentils again. They've cooked down a lot of the water again, and now they should be at a point where they are almost done, and that's when we want to add the rice. So I've got about 3 cups of jasmine rice here. You can use any type of rice that you want. I would use white rice because it's going to cook quicker. Brown rice is going to take another hour, and you know, venture there at your own risk. We're going to add more water. We want to add, I don't really have measurements here. I just kind of did this like I do Puerto Rican rice. So I add enough water until my spoon freely moves through the pot. This actually needs a little more water. And then we're just going to boil that water down again. And so I added more water. We're going to boil it down again on high. And then once it boils down, we will put the lid on it, keep the lid on it, put it on low, and let the rice steam until it's done. And then we're going to do the rest of that meat up. Here's the meat that's done so far. I like the caramelizing on here. Again, you do it to the level of done that you like. And look at that rice, okay? So there's still a little bit of water in there. Now we're going to put it on low and let it steam. All right. So Miss Clara would make bread with the feast, or her mom would make bread generally with the feast, or maybe they would buy bread at the local Italian bakery. I grabbed this bread for $1.47 at HEB. You could absolutely make bread homemade if you want to. She has a recipe for making homemade bread, but for $1.47, I just went ahead and grabbed this. We're going to slice it long ways and open it. You can just butterfly it and leave it connected, or you can cut the two pieces apart like I did. And then we're just going to put some olive oil on it. Now, if this was not a depression meal, I would probably do the olive oil with some fresh chopped garlic, or even butter with fresh chopped garlic. But we're keeping this simple. We're trying to emulate as close as we can to what the Great Depression cooking was like. So we're just going to do garlic bread, and I'm going to get it evenly on there, and then I'm going to put this in the oven and bake it until it's crispy, warm it up until it's nice and crispy brown. And we're going to have it along with our dinner. All right, so while that is going, our rice is almost done. Our meat is done. We're crisping up that bread in the oven. I'm going to take iceberg lettuce, which I got for $1.50 at HEB. This is a very inexpensive side option, and we're going to make a salad. She had a salad with her dinner as well. They would have salads like dandelions. They would go in the yard and cut dandelions, or they would have other leafy, more traditional salads as well. We're just going to make a very simple, I'm following her lead here. I'm going to use iceberg lettuce. We're going to clean this up, and then we're going to make our own dressing. She did it with, we're back to those basic things again, the olive oil, salt, pepper, and lemon. And you're going to keep adding salt until you get it right. Like once you have enough salt, then all those flavors will kind of mesh together. Just keep tasting a little bit of it as you go along until you get it right. I have washed the lettuce, and I'm going to put it in this bowl, and I'm actually going to go ahead and put the dressing on top of it, which that's fine to do as long as it's all going to be eaten right now. Otherwise, it's going to get soggy. I do want to get all the water off of it. My salad spinner was preoccupied in the refrigerator because my husband was making pizza dough in it. So I only had the colander part of my salad spinner. The rest of it was in the fridge. So I just dried it off with a paper towel. All right. Now she did not add cucumber, she did not add tomato, but these were simple additions. So I got each of those for less than $1, and I felt like that was reasonable, and it really elevated our salad just a little bit. So there's that. And you can add both of these to the salad, or you can keep them separate, however you want to do it. I do like to peel the skin off of my cucumbers. We prefer it better. We prefer it that way. And, but you could leave the skin on if you want to. And we're just going to whip up this quick salad and add our dressing. And once that bread is done and the rice is fully steamed, dinner is done. I did cut up the tomatoes and leave them separate. I put them in a separate dish and just offered it on the table for people to add to their salad if they wanted to, because not everybody is a tomato fan at our house. So you can omit the cucumber and the tomato if you want. All right, and we're going to cut the lemon in half, and we're going to use that in our dressing as well. And I went and got the lemon squeezer, so the citrus squeezer, juicer, whatever. All right, we're just going to put it right on top. Now, this is how she did it, but in hindsight, if I did this again, I would mix the olive oil and the lemon juice and the salt and pepper and a little bit of oregano in a bowl and mix it up and then pour it on. But this was perfectly fine. And we did the whole lemon, both sides of it. And then you want to just keep that. The reason I say I would have done it in a separate bowl is because I would have kept adding the salt there until I got it right. Where here, I'm just adding the salt directly on top of the lettuce once it's all mixed together, right? And I feel like I could have controlled I could have gotten the salt a little more precise if I had just mixed it with those juices before adding them to the salad. But that's my preference. I was following her lead, and it turned out delicious, so it's all fine. All right, here's that bread. Get it as crispy brown as you want. This was good for us. It looked delicious. And then look at this rice. Look at how incredible this is. Oh, it was so good. I really like this. I think I said this earlier on in the video, I would add garlic and onion. All right, we're gonna serve up dinner. I'm gonna bring everybody to the table and we're gonna eat. Don't mind me. I had showered right before I started cooking, so my hair was in a towel. I'm getting all of this done before I leave to go to the food truck. There it is. Look at how gorgeous that is. Absolutely delicious. So yummy. I recorded some of us eating. Not all of my kids, like my teenagers, are just not interested in being in videos. And I mean, I live in a house full of teenage boys. Half of them are walking around without a shirt on. And, you know, such is life. I'm making plates. We're going to eat. It was a great day. When you're done with this video, I hope that you will check out one of my playlists, either how I'm feeding my family of 7 on $700 a month, or one of my grocery haul playlists, or just some of the Cook With Me where I'm showing you different ways to feed your family as inexpensive as possible. All right, guys, thanks for hanging out with us, and we'll see you in the next video.